coaches, healers, and creatives. How much money are you leaving on the table? CoachOS is the world's leading all-in-one software that automates your business, scales your income, and replaces all your other softwares for a fraction of the cost. Grab your free trial now at the link in the show notes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Effortlessly Productive. I am joined today by a very special guest, my dear, dear friend, Trisha. She is literally like my business ride or die, plus just like one of my very best friends. We actually live all the way across the country from each other and actually in different countries. But we have met up in person and also worked together online for so many years now. I can't even remember how many. So we were introduced because she went through the same life coach certification that I did, and we became master coaches as well. So she is a certified master life performance and leadership coach, just like me. And we have done so much work together over the years. So I am so excited to have you here, Trisha, on this episode. We have some really special things that we're going to be talking about today. So I am going to let Trisha introduce herself, first of all, and just tell us what she does, everything about her. And then we're going to dive into Trisha's story with dealing with technology and in terms of like the business side of all of that setup. And then we're just going to have an amazing conversation for you here today. So Trisha, take it away. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and just, all the things that make you so amazing.
Yeah, it's been like 3 years and that's insane to me because
that's crazy.
It's interesting how many times we have these relationships where it's like, where were you before? Like, it doesn't feel like I've lived a life without you. And it's just, I love this and this growth and the conversation we get to have today. Because you're the base of this whole conversation. Like my whole experience with tech is revolved around Annie. But I'm Trish with a Y. I used to feel like my parents hated me and spelling my name different. And just recently I've owned that they actually knew that I was going to be unique. And that's been a really fun shift. So owning that, I am the capacity queen. I work with people on elevating their capacity, redefining what it is, going from max capacity being this place of like pressure. I can't take on anything else, including healing myself. Like I just have nothing left in me, to operating from this place where we're operating at our highest capacity. And our highest capacity is constantly ebbing and flowing. And it's about finding an energetic flow in the chaos, in the times when things are going good. So we can stop this like high, low, and coming more to this like baseline, which I think especially as entrepreneurs, that's essential to not be like, I have all of the ideas, I feel really good, and then nobody's signing up, nobody's buying, nobody's doing these things. Like, how can we be like, I have this idea and it's beautiful and like maybe things aren't going the way that they are, but how can I fix this and how can I bring myself up? And it's just like coming into riding the waves of business and yourself and feeling good in your body, doing all of it. And of course, the subconscious side of things, like breaking down those patterns and identifying what are the limiting beliefs we have. I'm not good at tech. That was me, like through and through when we first met in 2022 and we're doing these automations calls. Like you were teaching us how to create email sequences, like things now that I'm like, this was the most basic stuff. Like that was foundational. You weren't teaching us complex like funnels and all of these things. Like it was so foundational. But for me, coming from a hospital background where we just were given this like one computer system that we had to learn, and then that was it. And then doing the rest of the job, coming into the entrepreneur world where it's like, I wear all of the hats. And I know so many people can relate to that in startup You don't have the money for a VA. You don't have the money for somebody else to do your website. Like, you are the one figuring it all out. And we're getting on these calls and you're trying to teach us these things. And I remember so many times just shutting my video off and lying on the floor crying. I mean, like, I have to learn this, but like, oh my God, it's so over my head. And it was just, that was probably the most like pivotal moment for me in my business, stepping from this, like, that like network marketing, like I'm showing up, but all of the things are provided for me, into this world where I had to decide, like, no, I'm going to be a CEO, and it doesn't matter that I don't like it, that it doesn't feel good. Like, I have to figure this out. But it felt like garbage in my body for so long. And it was just, yeah, you did such a good job explaining everything, but there was so much of me that was blocking it. And I'm really excited to have the conversation around that whole side of things today, how we overcame that together. But yeah, also just like how different it can be even for those in that like new startup where they're like, I don't know what an email sequence is. What is a workflow? What is a funnel? Like all of these things that are so brand new outside of social media, and even social media learning, like every time it evolves and updates, and we're like, why, what are reels? Like, oh my God. But yeah, definitely excited for today.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. And it's funny you bring that up because, obviously everybody listening to this podcast who has heard any of my episodes knows that I am like a tech expert, and I have been up on tech since like we had a computer in our house when I was like 9 years old, which was completely unheard of at the time. This was still in the 1980s. I'm dating myself a little bit. So like, it's so familiar to me, but there will sometimes be updates where people are like, where is this? And I'm like, I don't know. I can't find it. So like, no matter, I think that's such an important point. Like, no matter how much of an expert you are and how much experience you have, there are going to be times where you dive into something and it's like all those feelings rush back of like, I don't know where this is. I can't find it. It's not working the way it's supposed to. Like, even right before we hop on to record this, I was helping a client and I'm like, I don't know why this import isn't processing, but like, it's just stuck and we'll figure it out. Like, it's that belief of like, we're going to figure it out. We're going to get it fixed. But like, also, I don't know why it's not working the way that it normally does right now. So
yeah, I don't know why is such a humbling. Like, if you are the expert in your business, you're the expert in coaching, you're like, put me on a call. That was my biggest thing. I was like, I don't want to do any of this. I just want to coach. And that was so hard. I was like, I don't know why I can't figure this out. I don't know why this link isn't working. I don't know why people aren't getting reminders. Like, said getting people this like, the call starts in 24 hours. And I'm like, no, it starts in 1 hour. Like, all those things. Like, I don't know why. That's another good limiting belief to unpack for sure.
Right. Yeah. And so I know like you had just said something about like you definitely had like almost like an identity shift. It sounds like where you went from like, I'm this brand new business person, or like I have my foundation in network marketing where everything's handed to me, to then embracing like, no, I am the CEO. And that means I need to take full ownership of everything, even if there are things in there that feel very sticky and very uncomfortable. But I still am going to need to figure it out and do it anyway, whether it's me or whether it's like eventually hiring somebody else. Like, what was some of the other shifts that happened for you, like along the way, to help that identity shift?
Oh, that's a good question, because I feel like sometimes it's so hard to put ourselves back. Like 3 years thinking about going back there. I'm like, I just remember crying on the floor and telling myself to like put on my CEO hat, pull up my big girl pants and all these things. But thinking about what shifted, I think some of it was I had to get okay with just exploring it. Like, I had to get okay with go to the software and just click around. go through the things. Like, it's going to take time. I think that was the biggest thing for me, was it's going to take time. This is brand new, right? Like, I didn't go to school to learn how to run a business or do management. Like, I'm teaching myself. And even though I have mentorship, I have people that are showing me, it is still me finding my own flow. And I think that was like owning that piece, that even if somebody's teaching me, I still have to find what works for me. I think that's something that as CEOs, as entrepreneurs, we always feel like we have to do it a certain way. We have to do it the way this person is teaching things. And we're like, I'm being taught how to do ads. I have to do ads. Like, taking that step back and also asking, like, but is this what's most important? Or am I getting distracted with like the next shiny thing when really I need to be doing this like basic stuff first? I think that one of the biggest shifts that I experienced was coming to that place where I had to just own, what do I want? What do I want for my clients? Where am I at? Like, what feels good? Even newsletters. I've tried to do a newsletter series so many times, and I do good for like 4 weeks. And then I'm like, I just don't want to do it. So not pouring that time into that, not because I don't want to learn it, but because recognizing that even after I learned it, even after I understood it, it didn't feel good. I'm like, I just don't want to be forced to do this all the time. And that's like that line where I could decide, am I avoiding this because it's hard to learn? Or am I avoiding this because it doesn't feel aligned? And that was probably the biggest, like, big bang. Now things are moving forward.
Yeah, that makes so much sense because, it's such a tough distinction and such kind of a blurry line there of, I think especially as more like spiritual and creative entrepreneurs, like we're coming from like that creative place and a very intuitive place. And we sometimes get these warning signs in our body where it's like our body is saying no, but like, why is it saying no? Where are we feeling it? And what is the reason behind that? And being able to dive in and explore those kind of maybe yucky feelings or difficult or challenging situations of what it is that's holding us back. And then being able to design our business how we want to do it, not just because somebody told us to.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember my ego being so hung up on how embarrassing it was if things didn't work out. Right. Like, the very first program that I ran, honestly, recording on Zoom was too much for me at the time. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot to hit record. And then I would feel so embarrassed when I'm in the middle of a workshop and I have to tell people like, oh no. And then I remember I had this client message me and she was like, I pick up on that energy. And she was like, I know that you're new to this, but also like nobody else knows. Nobody else is aware of it until you start freaking out, until you start panicking. And it's funny because my ego was so concerned about like, you're going to get this wrong and people are going to know and all of these things. And like, that's why I resisted a lot of it. But because of that, like that was driving that energy that was then leaving me just constantly waiting for like the wind to blow the house of cards down. And then it would just like shift a little. And I was the one that was causing it to just collapse. And yeah, it's that ego, like checking in on, okay, well, what is the problem if you put up a link and it doesn't work? Somebody might not register. Somebody might message you. I updated my website 6 months ago and I had it on my Facebook profile and somebody messaged me, I think 2 days ago. And she's like, by the way, the link at the top of your Facebook is a 404 error. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't change it. And I updated my website. And it'd be so easy to go back and spiral over like how many people like went to go buy from me and then weren't able to buy from me. And like that like scarcity mindset when it's really like she's probably the first person that's clicked on it in 6 months. And she messaged me immediately. And then it's just such an easy fix. But our ego is like, oh my God, like what if I mess up? What are people going to think? What am I going to miss out on? Like that, like, oh, just jazzed in your body. I know we talked about like being your nervous system being hijacked. That's what our ego does in these times where we're learning something new, and we have to learn how to overcome that.
Yeah. And I definitely experienced that too. I think, especially as somebody with an identity of like, I'm really good at tech and I'm a tech expert, especially when something is broken or doesn't work right or people are having trouble with it. Like my ego goes completely off the rails. And then I have to remember, I'm like, how many like 7, 8-figure earners have I had? Like I'm on their email list and they've sent me an email where a link doesn't work and they have to send an oopsie, or like they forgot to even type the email in. I had that happen recently. I'm like, thank you, because it's not like that's proof that like we can still have that success that we want to have and reach for those higher places. And not everything is going to go perfectly all the time. My husband and I always talk about, it's not like with his business, it's not the mistake that's happened. It's how you handle that mistake afterwards. So the ego check of like, hey, like, this is not a freak out moment. This is not a like go off the rails. This is not a like, I need to quit my business because I just suck. Like, no, send out like an apology email and be like, oh my gosh, like I made a mistake and here's the correct link or whatever. But it's wild how that goes. Our ego just goes totally haywire. And you're right. Like you do have that huge nervous system reaction to that as well.
Yeah, I love I want to kind of touch on this for a second too, because this is another place that ego comes in. And I've been exploring this, not just with myself, but with my clients, is when you get that email from the 7, 8-figure earner that's messed up, are you the person that's like annoyed? Because that's your ego again being like, see how stupid this is? See how annoying this is? And then when you go sit down, it's got this proof that like somebody else is going to receive this and feel the way that you felt. But it's just your ego showing up in another area trying to keep you safe. And it's such a powerful shift to come into your intuition, into your feminine energy that has this like level of compassion for the person on the other side. And you're like, oh my God, I've done this so many times too. I feel for you. Like I know what you're experiencing right now. And also it makes me feel a little bit better. Like, not that I'm happy you went through this, and I hope that your nervous system is handling it well, but like, validation that I'm not the only one. So even just like checking, it's a constant check with your system on like, do I feel like I'm like vibrating and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm freaking out? Or is it like, no, it's not a big deal. Like, can I learn a lesson here? And, I know we were talking about the creative side of things and how much if we're stuck in that like masculine energy, if I have to prove that I can do this, I need it to be perfect. Like I can't mess up. That's why so many like soul-led entrepreneurs resist the systems, right? And it's like, I know for you talk about like the difference between delegating and automating, like being able to recognize, is this a potential zone of genius? That if I just regulate my nervous system, I could learn it. And then, maybe I'm actually really good at this, versus the person that's like, no, my nervous system's regulated. And like me with newsletters, I just hate doing it. I don't feel good in it. I can't find my creative flow. Like then we come into delegating, right? And that's like, I know you do tons of done for you stuff. And like, how much permission does that give that person to go like create their magic in all of these other areas? I'd love to hear like, what's that transformation you see with the people that say like, hard line in the sand, this isn't for me. It's not that I can't do it. I just straight up don't want to do it.
Yeah. So I think it's that, like what you just brought up of number one, knowing and trusting yourself, like getting very clear and like also very regulated. And it's not like I talk a lot on here about with our nervous system. It's not that we're never going to be in fight or flight. It's not that we're never going to go into freeze mode, but do we have the ability to come back out of that into that zone of safety? So once you have come back into that zone of safety, if it is a full body hell no, like I am not going there. I think examining what was I trying to do with that system? What was the purpose of that it was going to serve in my business? And is there another way to accomplish that? Or again, does it still need to get done and I can just find somebody else to do it for me? And I think it's really comes back to that CEO mindset of taking ownership for everything. Like, a good CEO is not operating from a completely whacked out nervous system, number one. Like, they know when they're not regulated and they know to take a pause and they know that their best work is not going to come through. But I think it's totally okay to own the fact that my zone of genius is coaching people. My zone of genius is healing people. It's not building this tech stuff. And if that is you, that is okay. Like, I run into so many entrepreneurs that are full on experiencing tech fatigue because they have been trying to do it all themselves. Their nervous system is so out of whack because they're trying to do all of this. They're using systems that are all over the place, that are taking huge amounts of time every single week. And the more time that takes, the more it's pulling them away from their magic. And that's part of why they feel so out of whack, because they are literally spending all their time doing something that sucks their energy instead of the thing that's their magic and their impact that they want to share with the world. So recognizing, like, I am full on in tech fatigue right now. I'm using systems that don't work. I'm using systems I don't understand, and being able to figure out how to, number one, just regulate your nervous system down to a place where you can make really smart decisions about, this does have to get done. This doesn't have to get done. If it does have to get done, how do we accomplish that without it being me? Can I automate it? Can I have somebody else do it for me? Or is there something else I can do instead that's going to accomplish that same goal that does feel aligned? Like you said with like the email newsletters, like if that is not feeling aligned for you, and you're showing up on social media, sharing all this content all the time, like, is social media enough for your business? And if it is, lean into that. If it's not enough and you do want to be doing email marketing, can you find somebody that can take all of that social media content and turn it into email newsletters and write them and send them out for you? Like, how can we do this? Can we use AI to help us with part of that process? Like, there's so many different ways to solve it, but until we come into that place of regulation and then are able to reflect on what our goal is, why we feel like we have to do this so badly, that like have to word or need to or should, like all the things, right? So like, why is that coming up? And if it does serve a purpose, like, let's figure out how to make this work for us. But living in that place of our magic and our energy and that impact is so important especially for more creative entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I love that. Like, making it work for us, because even looking at, we know that like, I'm supposed to have this creative day, but I have this tech. And then that blocks that energy. So we resist it, right? And we procrastinate. And I always challenge people this, and it doesn't matter if it's tech or your workouts or sending invite, like whatever it is, if it's the task that's constantly not getting done, why are we putting it in that time slot on that day of the week? Like, I cannot, I could not coach and do tech stuff, like my budget, my checking in with my client, like the back office stuff. I couldn't pivot that energy. Like the tech for me does take me from green to yellow. So it is like, I don't want to bring that to each other. And for a while, I was procrastinating on the tech so much that the day of a workshop, the day of a launch, I was like, oh no, I don't have a funnel together. I don't have the sign up page. Like, I'm going to pitch, I'm going to share this thing, and I don't actually have a way for people to sign up. So then I'm like doing it, like the workshop starts at 5 and at 4:45, I'm like, I need to check my DMs one more time, make sure nobody wants to like sign up last minute. that I'm like just hitting publish on my stuff and then bringing that energy to that. So being able to sit down and look at how can I separate things? Like, can I have a CEO day? The CEO day is the day that like, I'm not going to love it. So I'm going to sandwich it with good things. Like that is the day that no matter what, you start the day with your Kundalini practice. Like you do your Kriya, even if you're not super consistent with it. You're like, I am going to do this thing, ground myself, get into my energy, do the stuff I don't like doing. I had this conversation with a one-on-one client yesterday, actually. She was like, I made a deal with myself that on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I sit in my office with the door closed for 8 hours, like I'm at work, other than your lunch break, obviously. But like sit down like you're at work for the 8 hours. We don't always love being there, right? And I think that that's the thing that we lose as CEOs is we want freedom so much that the second we have to do something we don't like, gut punch, we turn into spoiled little teenagers. We're like, I don't want to do it, so I'm just not going to do it. Like, no. Create a CEO day for you. Don't schedule clients. Don't fill your day with creative expectations. Like sit down, get the stuff done, regulate your system, do the work, and then go do something that lights you back up. Like go for family night. Who cares if you go bowling on a Monday night? Your kids don't have activities. Like go hit the arcade, go to the movie theater, go do something that's like feels like that CEO freedom, right? I don't know if my internet is glitching out. Do I keep glitching out for you?
No, I think you're okay.
Okay. I was like, oh no, a couple times. Good. Kurt can edit this out.
Yes.
But being able to look for, okay, I don't like doing this thing. I want freedom. Okay. Just like you said, like, what is the goal? What is the thing that you want? I want to feel freedom. Cool. On the other side of doing the thing you don't want to do, go reward yourself in any way possible. Like if that means that, on Mondays, I actually take myself out. I go do my work at my favorite coffee shop and I get like the big coffee that I don't always like spending money on. And I'm going to get the treat or I'm going to take myself out for a CEO lunch date. Like find the ways to reward yourself so that you can come back up to that green and finding just how it works for you in an honest way. Because I think sometimes we're like, I'll do it Friday. If you leave it till Friday, the stuff you don't like doing, like you either have to suck it up and do it Friday anyways, or realize that that's why it's never getting done because you're leaving it to the last minute. You're leaving your essay to the night before it's due. Like stop living in that like high school, teenage, I don't want to, so I'm not going to sort of attitude, right? We're empowered CEOs. We're full grown adults. So just finding that flow, I think is so important.
Yeah. And I think also that's going to look different for every single person. Like I know for me, I definitely do better where I have like full day focus where I'm not jumping around. And I realized for so many years, I would just kind of randomly schedule calls and appointments and stuff was all over the place. And I'm like such like a crazy person, totally dysregulated nervous system, like totally out of whack because I was like, I literally feel like I never get anything done. And yes, that was a story, but the way I was designing my day and my time, I was jumping around so much. I never had a chunk of focus. And for me, even with the tech stuff, I really need, if I'm going to build something, I really need a chunk of at least a couple hours, if not like a half a day to get my brain into it and to design it out and figure out what I'm going to do. And yeah, maybe the actual tech part of it takes a lot shorter, but just the mental processing behind it. And like you're saying, leaving space for, all those things that do regulate our nervous system before and probably after as well, like doing our Kundalini practice or breath work or, whatever it is. Are there any like nervous system regulation techniques that you mentioned Kundalini, like stuff that you are like a full send, like, yes, that is like my go-to, especially for like a tech struggle. If you're like building something and you've run into a roadblock, is there something that works really well for you?
Yes. And I'm so excited you brought this up because I'm going to like shameless plug breadcrumb fully just tell you guys that if you're dealing with tech fatigue and you're burnt out, like we have to fix your system. Like your adrenals are shot, your cortisol levels are through the roof from being in fight or flight. Like if you're waking up tired and like you can't fall asleep at night and you're just like all over the place all day, like your system's shot. So I know like we have this 5-day re-regulation, like rewired and regulated challenge coming at the end of the month. And we're going to be bringing this particular Kriya to you guys because this is what I implemented in January to really ground myself. We moved very quickly 2 weeks before the holidays, started renovations on Christmas Day while cooking turkey dinner. Like I was jazzed because I'm a human being, you guys. Like it's not always perfect, but doing this particular Kriya to help clear out my adrenals, to help just like flush my system, bring it down, ground myself. Like if you guys are into chakras and energy and all of that, like the particular Kriya that I did was very root chakra. And aside from the fact that it regulates your adrenals because of just the parts of your body that it puts different pressure points on, your root chakra is the one that's like your sense of survival, your sense of safety. So when we look at our ego is like, what if this person thinks this thing? And what if it all falls apart? And like, like, what if I can't pay my bills? Like that scarcity, we get to regulate. We get to be like, no, I'm safe. I'm okay. I can do this tech and the world isn't going to fall down around me. Saber-toothed tiger isn't going to come out of my closet and attack me because I put on a broken link. Like, so we're going to be doing a lot of that in that challenge. But for the person that's listening to this podcast and they're, waiting because this podcast is going to drop 2 weeks before we start the challenge, register, get in there for that, come do this with us, but you have to wait, right? Or the person that's listening after we've launched it and you can get instant access to it. But maybe you're like on the fly and you're in the car and you're like, but I have to do this thing tonight. Like, what can I do? I love doing just like the alternate nose breathing because we have this expectation that doing tech, doing the like, oh, I don't like doing this, need to tap into my masculine energy. No, same thing when we're in our creative flow. I need to tap into my feminine energy. No, we need both. Like we need this harmony in our body. So I love with my clients when we are getting on and they're like, I'm just feeling so jacked on one side. We take 4 minutes. That's all it is just 4 minutes, which I know when you're at max capacity, you're like, I don't have 4 minutes in a day. Yes, you do. Right now, like even if you're in the car, obviously keep your eyes open, but starting with that breath, like through our left side and just plugging the right nose and having that like just deep, slow breathing. And I always love to visualize like that air just like coming in and it flows through each chakra, right? And it starts to just get like it's getting the system turned on, like working in the lab. I used to love walking in at like 6 o'clock in the morning. No one else is there. I'm turning on all the analyzers. It goes from silence to like everything's just coming on board. And I kind of tap into that, like that peace that I used to feel with it. And we do that for 2 minutes and then we switch sides. And we go to our masculine energy. We go to that like solar, like I'm going to get things done. Like I am confident. And it comes in and it just like balances everything out. And now we're operating from both because they can happen, right? We can sit down with this task that does require that like masculine, I need to get this done energy. But can we still touch it with that nurturing energy? That's like, I have to sit down and do this newsletter, but it's so that I nurture my audience. Like touching it with that nurturing energy, just bringing that softness to it all also helps for us to not feel so like jacked up at the end of it. So even just doing the adrenal set, I called it the create capacity Kriya because I think like that's exactly what it does. It creates that capacity in our body. But then on the fly, like in the moment when you're sitting down to do the work and you are dropping in, if you don't have time to do a full like half an hour Kundalini practice, just take 4 minutes, like put on some like Zen music, put on a nice frequency. I love those YouTube channels that just have like endless frequency music playing. I'm like, get me in the zone. Law of attraction. Today I'm creating my funnel page and I want to bring that attractive energy to it. Like put that on, right? And do the breath work, just like left side feminine energy, right side masculine energy. And if you're someone that's like, I don't totally know about this energy work, the scientific side behind it, we think about like our left brain and our right brain. We have a logical side and we have a creative side. And some of us, I think, can get caught in like, I'm not creative. You are. It's in there. We just have to activate that side of the brain. We have to turn that side of the brain on. So that's why I love that breath work just lets us do that.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I think like what you were saying, it's so interesting because so many people think of like, I'm either in my masculine energy or my feminine energy. And if I turn the dial up on the masculine, then the feminine's going down. And I like to look at it more like it's almost like a soundboard with levels. Like we can actually turn them both up. And if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I just am like not bringing the energy right now, it's probably that both are turned very low. And we actually need to turn both of them up higher. Also, just to kind of point out that so many people think like, oh, business systems, it's so masculine. And with like all the bro marketing that is out there, yes, it is such a masculine energy. That's why I hope creative and spiritual entrepreneurs, like part of what I do is to help them bring those energetics, keep that person in mind that we're talking to and helping and infuse our systems with that energy. The reason so many systems don't work or don't feel like us or feel inauthentic is because we are building only from the masculine and we're forgetting to bring that feminine piece into it. And that's why we look at that page that we built or the email sequence and we're like, the magic is missing from it. Well, we can turn what Trisha just talked about, like you're turning both the masculine and the feminine up at the same time, so that it isn't just that super bro marketing feel or a very like wishy-washy, I built like half my funnel and I'm just not really going to finish it because I am like so in my creative flow. And like, there's nothing wrong with that for some things, but like we need to get stuff done and finish things in our business as well. Again, that CEO mindset and ownership. So I love that so much.
Yeah. Yeah. I love, as you were saying, the soundboard. It's funny because I think as creative entrepreneurs, we all have that little like just intuitive connection. And when we talk about like being soul sisters, like the second before you said that, it was like, it would be like turning up the bass and turning down the treble. Like that sounds like garbage. And maybe the bass on a certain song should be higher than the treble, but the treble still has to kind of come up with it, right? Like, we have to find that balance and like what is, when you sit down and do the systems, maybe it does need a little more masculine energy because you need that discipline, but you got to bring the feminine up with it because otherwise, yeah, then we're up, down, instead of this like flow where we're in and out and it just feels good because it can feel good eventually. Like the things that are hard right now that you're trying to learn, eventually, like for me right now, I have a business partner. We co-run like things. I'm the one doing the stuff. I'm the one teaching her how to do it. And I'm like, well, when did this happen? Like, who am I? And it's not triggering. I'm like, oh, it's this and that and this and that. And this is how this flows and all of these things. And like, I know where to find the answers when I don't know what they are. Like, can you just get curious? Could you maybe Google how to do it? Could you ask AI, how would you set up a funnel? Like, how would you create this sequence in a way that it makes sense? Like, pay attention to the things that you sign up for. Like, what are the things that you love that your mentor does? Like, borrow the bits that you love, leave the rest. And then just like you get to weave. Like, I love just thinking about like pulling these strands out of the sky. I've been reading so much fantasy lately. blowing stars out of the sky and like making your own magic. Like invest in yourself, get in these spaces, get curious. But like, I wonder how they're doing that. Like, if you're listening to us talking about pairing feminine and masculine energy, and you're like, I have no idea how to do that. Come do the 5-day challenge. Come get curious about like, how do you do that? How can I bring that to my business? Maybe that's what I've been wanting to teach, but I don't know how to teach it, right? Like, there's so much magic in everything around us, and how can we bring it together to just amplify our own magic? I think it's just like, that's the sweet spot in business for sure.
Yeah, I love that so much. Yeah. And I'll just share. So one of my go-to nervous system regulation techniques. So I also practice Kundalini and love it so much, and also all the breath work. But one of my go-tos is EFT, or tapping. A lot of people have heard of, just because if I start to feel myself escalating, it's something I can just start tapping. And I'm going to actually do in our 5-day challenge, do a tapping with you on the tech limiting beliefs and all the scariness, but like, it's a way to just like start to bring that down, right? So you're like tapping through these points and saying these things, and it just like, it's one of those things that in the moment, you like you were saying, like, not everybody is 30 minutes, or not in that day, you might not have 30 minutes. In that moment of the nervous system being hijacked, you might not have enough for a huge long practice, but it's one of those things you can spend just a couple of minutes tapping and immediately feel that relief, and feel yourself kind of coming back down into that place of regulation, and you're so good. It's in fact like, if I wake up in the middle of the night and can't get back to sleep, I just sit there in bed and tap until I'm like, okay, we're good. We're going to go back to sleep. Like, it's totally one of my go-tos.
Yeah. And I love that too, because it is like, everybody has a different go-to, but also until you've tried them all, like you don't know what works for you. And maybe one does work on the fly, and one is, you're like, oh, this is like coming home. So even looking at like EFT being the one that you like doing on the fly, like, what has been the thing that has helped you? I know like your branding lately has been on fire. Like, your magic is radiating on social media. And I'm like, I don't know what Annie did to unlock this, but like, what do we do? Like, for the person that's been in this like stuck, stagnant energy, and they're like, I've lost it. I lost the passion. I don't know how to show up. I don't know what I want to share. Like, how does somebody come back to that magic?
Yeah. So I think number one, allowing yourself to take a pause. There were so many years in my business that I was like, I have to make, again, we're going back to the have tos and shoulds. I have to make the social media post, and I don't know what to say. So I'm just going to throw some garbage up there, and it's not me, or I'm just going to copy and paste what somebody else did, which is definitely not me. And I felt so unaligned. Like, everything I was putting out, it wasn't my voice. It wasn't my magic. And I honestly, looking back, I'm like, I don't even know that I really knew who I was or what my magic was. And so, first of all, it's okay to take a little bit of a pause. If you're feeling like you don't know what you do to help people, or who that person is that you help. And as you guys know, I am not super big on the whole niche thing, but like, we also have to sometimes have somebody. We can't be like, I'm going to help everybody on the planet, right? Like, we have to be speaking to a certain general type of person in general with our messaging. And so I was just throwing stuff out for so long that it wasn't me. I wasn't speaking to anybody. I was just kind of putting stuff up to go through the motions and check the boxes. And I was honestly so burnt out that I was like, I don't even care anymore. Like, I'm just doing it. And so I took a very long pause there. I actually, on social media, if you scroll back through my stuff, it was a couple of years that I really was not very present on there. And I was doing a ton of work in the background. I was doing the life coach certification, and then I was doing like going through a neurosomatic certification that I've talked about. Trisha's doing that with me in the same class, which is so much fun. But just going through these healing modalities and looking at all the trauma. Like I had so much trauma response to all kinds of things. And so taking that quiet pause and starting to ask myself, what do I love doing? And I realized that a lot of the client work I was doing, I did not love. I dreaded it. It was sucking my soul, and being okay with shutting that off, which was terrifying to just shut my business off and I gave myself a good like 3 or 4 months, just be like, what do I want to do? Let me explore, let me play. Going back to having fun in my business again, I'll be honest, I don't think I even knew what fun was. Like I was like, I don't even know how to have fun. And especially not in business. Business never really was like fun. I was just driven to do it because I wanted to help people so badly, but it wasn't fun. And so adding that element in, and I think the more I explored and got in touch with my higher self, and I'm still figuring all of that out, but just starting to allow myself to explore and play and have the quiet when I needed it, and not force myself to put things out just because that's what I was supposed to do in my head. And yeah, like embrace the person. Like I think deep down, I always knew who I was. She was always in there. It's just, I had so many layers on top of it. I had lost her for a while. And so uncovering and finding her and being like, ooh, like that feels so magical and so amazing. And when I have like, look at this branding, I'm like, yes, like that is
so leather pants are like, yes, I love that. Just like spherical dress and all of the things. It was like, this is Annie. Like, yeah, you get to be both. You can be like spicy and
yeah. And like, oh my gosh, even like a year ago, I bought those leather pants like well over a year ago. I literally had never worn them. And I was like, finally put them on. I'm like, yeah, like this is me. Like this is a side of me. Yes, I am like light and airy and all of that stuff. But I am also like, there's that dark side, and I get to be both. So, but part of it, my nervous system was so hijacked for so many years. And so allowing myself to do those things that were taking care of me was such an important piece of that. And kind of going back to the challenge, like to share a little bit more. So it is going to be about, yes, let's rewire some business systems and also rewire our nervous system, right? Because you can't, if your nervous system is so off the charts, hijacked, you're not going to sit down and be able to build like the full tech systems that you need, or even get to that place where you've been, Trish, where you're like, okay, like this doesn't feel good. And it's because like this isn't meant for me, but this does feel good. I just need some help, like getting to that place of being able to do it. If you're just flying blind and in that heightened state of nervous system dysregulation, like you're just gonna wallow in the mud and go nowhere, just kind of be stuck.
Yeah, I love too. So as you were sharing the like, take a step back, I want to ask like the people that are listening to this right now, take a second and pause and be like, how did my body react to that idea of taking 3 or 4 months off, 3 or 4 weeks? How does your body feel about taking 3 or 4 days off of business? Because like we're coming up on summer vacation, and this is why we want to do this, because there's so many people that they're like, okay, if I do the systems, I'm going to have free time. What am I going to do with that free time? Because every time I have free time, I'm constantly thinking about like, oh my God, I should be doing something else, right? Like calming your nervous system, this place that it doesn't have a trauma response to you hanging out on the couch for the afternoon, or leave your phone at home. Oh my God. How many times have you like maybe been like, I don't even know where my phone is. Like it's laws that were like triggered. Like we need to come to a place where it is scary and uncomfortable to be like, who am I? Like I could take that time, but oh, that's scary work. Like just validating that it's okay that it feels that way But also, it's not going to change unless we implement these systems, because even like when I love your talking about like the leather pants, like you bought them, but then you don't wear them. And when we went to the higher self party at As She Rises in Montreal, I borrowed your clothes because I was like, I don't know what my higher self wears. Like, I guess my higher self is okay with borrowing clothes from friends, and like this like dress that kind of gets a little too short when we start dancing, but like, so I'd be okay with that little bit of like scandalous energy tonight. Like exploring and playing, you don't know until you try. And I guess like at the end of the day, if we think about that like 5-day challenge, can you come in with that? Like, I don't know until I try. Nothing else has worked. I've paid for all the things. I've tried all of the things. Nothing's clicking. Like, I just don't know. Come give it a try. Tell my kids that all the time. You have to at least have 2 bites before you tell me you don't like something, right? And like, and then after that, if you truly don't like it, like, I'm not going to make you eat it again. And so coming in and being like, can I come in and explore this? Can I come get curious what it's like to sit down and do tech and it not jack my system? Can I feel what it's like when I have the systems in place and I can actually take the downtime? Can I create this like safety in my body so that when I say, I am going to close the doors for 2 weeks, because that's what I did in January. We moved and like all those things, I was like, I need to reset my system. And I had to accept that in the month of the year that we are like, as coaches, we're like, this should be my highest income month. Last year, it was for me. It was my first $10,000 month. I cried in Sport Check when I was like, I just had this pay in full come through. Like, oh my God. It was really hard for me to detach from that like pressure on myself in January to be like, this is supposed to be your biggest month. You want to have this 6-figure year. You can't start off being like, I'm actually not promoting anything. I'm actually not launching anything. I don't want new one-on-one clients. I'm having a bit of an identity crisis and I need to keep my business safe. So I'm going to go work on my sense of safety. And it was rocky. Like, I had to have those support systems, and you and our sisterhood and our certification and our mentor. Like, you have to have people in your corner to do that and feel good about it. It's the safety net when you walk out on the tight wire. Like, I guess like the last thing that I kind of want to just touch on for people is like, you don't have to do it alone. There's that stigma that's like, it's lonely at the top. No, it's lonely at the top when your system's fried and you're burnt out. But like at the top, we're going on a yacht in October. Like, that's not lonely. And everybody there is wildly successful. Like, get in rooms with people that can support you in different ways and just explore until you do find those pieces of you, because a lot of us have been so lost in motherhood and in our business and in the hustle that we don't know who we are. So let's take that 5 days in April and find who you are and build that safety and do some business work, because you can do both at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So if you've been listening and you're like, yes, I am ready to join, I want to explore this, or I am a full send, yes, I am all in. The challenge is called Rewired and Regulated, and we're going to drop the link in the show notes so that you can get registered. It's totally free. So no cost, just our gift to you. So I'm super excited to collaborate with you on this, Trish. I feel like we've done so many little tiny things together and coach together and run workshops together, but never publicly really launched anything together. And I'm so excited to teach this with you.
Yeah, a full send collaboration. It's going to be so fun. And I think the other thing is like the free. We want to take out that like, our nervous system has a reaction when we're jacked and we have to decide if we want to invest. Like, sometimes if we are totally hijacked, choosing to make an investment is like, that's a triggering thing. So we wanted to remove that. The purpose of this is to help regulate you. That's why it's free, because full send, you can just be like, yes, sign me up right now. Like, while you're listening to this, you can be going through the form, right? So yeah, just invitation to come explore and play and build that sense of safety.
Yes, 100%. It's going to be so good. I'm so excited for all the beautiful people we're going to have in there with us. Well, before we wrap up, is there anything else? I feel like we've had such an amazing conversation. Is there anything else that you have to share and wrap up?
I don't know. I feel complete. I think that's something sometimes that we feel like we have to say something, but really it's okay to just say I feel good.
Yeah, well, me too. So I just wanted to do a little check-in with you. But yeah, I am also feeling like this was such a beautiful, complete conversation. So we can go ahead and sign off then. We are so excited to see a whole bunch of you in the challenge at the end of the month, or to hop in. If the challenge live is over, we will make sure that you can register for replays and still go through it. Even if you're not doing it live with us, you'll still be able to get all that magic and energy. So thank you so much for listening to this episode of Effortlessly Productive. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks, everybody.